Rafael Grossi, the chief of the United Nations nuclear watchdog, is set to meet with high-ranking officials in Iran on Monday and Tuesday, with the aim of strengthening his agency's supervision of Iran's nuclear activities. John Kirby of the U.S. states that Iran is becoming increasingly isolated. He also mentions that Iran's attack on Israel was unsuccessful. The Atomic Agency warns that attacks on Ukraine's nuclear plant pose a global risk. No nuclear sites were damaged when Israel launched counterattacks. In 2018, then President Donald Trump decided to withdraw the United States from a significant agreement between Iran and major powers. This agreement had limited Iran's nuclear activities in return for the lifting of sanctions, but it has since fallen apart. In response to the re-imposition of sanctions that had been lifted under the agreement, Iran violated and greatly exceeded the nuclear restrictions. It is currently enriching uranium to a purity of up to 60%, which is close to the 90% weapons-grade level, and it has enough uranium enriched to this level to produce 2 atomic bombs if further enriched. Western powers argue that there is no credible civilian justification for this. However, Iran insists that its intentions are entirely peaceful. Here's some of the challenges currently faced by the International Atomic Energy Agency in Iran. SNAP inspections. Under the 2015 agreement between Iran and major powers, Iran agreed to implement the Additional Protocol. This is an agreement between the IAEA and member states that allows the IAEA to conduct surprise inspections at locations of interest, including undeclared ones, not just the declared facilities it regularly inspects. As part of the measures it announced in February 2021, Iran ceased implementing the Additional Protocol, thereby ending surprise inspections. Monitoring scope. As a signatory to the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty (NPT), Iran is subject to IAEA inspections of its main nuclear facilities, such as its uranium enrichment plants at Natanz and Fordo. However, the 2015 agreement expanded the scope of IAEA monitoring to include more activities and facilities. These included the inventory of centrifuge parts, the machines that enrich uranium, as well as yellowcake, a form of uranium that requires further processing before it can be fed into centrifuges for enrichment. Iran scrapped these additional measures in February 2021. The IAEA has now lost continuity of knowledge on items, including the number of centrifuges Iran has, raising concerns that Iran could establish a secret enrichment site. Without surprise inspections, this would be much more difficult to detect. Cameras. To mitigate the impact of the measures announced in February 2021, the IAEA reached an agreement with Tehran. Under this agreement, surveillance cameras and other equipment used for additional monitoring introduced by the 2015 agreement would remain in place, but the data collected would be kept in Iran's possession under seal. The IAEA still has not had access to any of this footage. In June 2022, Iran had the IAEA remove these cameras. In March 2023, Iran and the IAEA agreed on a joint statement that was short on detail, but that the IAEA understood to be a comprehensive pledge of cooperation by Iran, including on reinstalling these cameras. In the months following the statement, a fraction of the cameras the IAEA wanted to install were installed, but the IAEA says there was no further progress after June of last year on cooperation. As outlined in the joint statement, inspectors. In September 2023, Iran barred many of the IAEA's top enrichment experts assigned to the country, which diplomats said left only one such expert on the highly sensitive technology. The IAEA condemned the move, stating that although it was technically allowed, it was unprecedented and a very serious blow to its ability to perform its job properly in Iran. Uranium traces. For years, the IAEA has been demanding that Iran explain the origin of uranium traces found at largely old but undeclared sites in Iran. The IAEA's 35-nation Board of Governors passed a resolution in June 2022 urging Iran to cooperate with the IAEA on the issue without delay, and then another in November 2022 ordering Iran to cooperate urgently with the IAEA's investigation. Iran has stated that such resolutions are anti-Iranian and politically motivated. Recent IAEA reports have stated that Iran has still not provided technically credible explanations for the uranium traces. Modified Code 3.1. According to the so-called Modified Code 3.1 of the IAEA, part of the agreement outlining Iran's obligations under the NPT provides for the submission to the Agency of Design information for new nuclear facilities as soon as the decision to construct or to authorize construction of a new facility has been taken, whichever is the earlier. Since February 2021, Iran has stated that it is no longer implementing the code, but the IAEA says it is a legal obligation that Iran cannot suspend. This again raises the question of whether Iran is planning or has started to build nuclear facilities in secret. It has publicly announced plans for new nuclear power plants and broken ground on them without informing the IAEA.